I am so excited. I've been excited about this movie, and you know what? It did not disappoint. Hello, darlings, and welcome to Performance Perspective, where we watch different performances and then we share our perspectives. If you're new here, hi, I'm Carolyn, but you could call me Care, and today we are talking about The Color Purple, the movie musical. Now, first off, can we just say, thank goodness Reactmas is done. If you've been following me and watching those, I do think it is fun, but I'm just more exhausted because, my gosh, that was a lot of videos. But again, the performances were fun. Not gonna lie, I'm deleting one of them though. Haha. Cool. Now, if you're not familiar, The Color Purple was originally a book that became a movie starring Whoopi Goldberg. Oprah Winfrey is in it. I mean, Glover. I love that I know the last name. I'm like, is it Daniel Glover? You'll help me out in the comments. And then it turned into a Broadway musical. I have not seen the Broadway musical, but because of seeing this movie musical, I would love to see it live. Then from Broadway, it has turned into the movie musical that is out now. Absolutely recommend it. I do have some critiques about it, and also to be I think if you saw my previous episode about what I thought about Wonka, I had a lot of critiques about that movie. And so I think because of that experience, seeing this one, I'm going to say it. I think this is the best movie musical of the year. Now, if you're like, whoa, ma'am, what about... Let me know in the comments if you're like, actually, I think this was the best movie musical of the year. And this seems to be happening, and I don't think it's going to stop, because I think people really do enjoy it, where they already had a movie, it turned into a Broadway show, and now it's going to be, a movie musical. There was Hairspray, Matilda. We know that Mean Girls is coming, and I believe there was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Wicked's about to go on. Not really, but you know what I mean. So I think this is, what was it? Kiss of a Spider Woman or something. Jennifer Lopez, that's in talks. I don't know if that's confirmed. But what I'm saying is that this is a trend that is going, and I am all for it. I love movie musicals, and I can't help it. I really do. I don't know. I just grew up with it, and so it's a piece of me, okay? So let's talk about performances. The cast. Wow. Just amazing, as far as, of course, the singing, the emotion that they had to carry through the whole entire story. And it's a very powerful story about choosing revenge or forgiveness, and also surviving and stuff. And so I'm a huge fan of the movie. And so when I saw this trailer, I was like, why is no one talking about this? Like, no one was talking about it. Or as far as everyone, I love the fact that a lot of the people that they cast to be in the movie actually played the roles on Broadway. And I think that helped translate it so much better there. Halle Bailey, as we know, she played the Ariel as the Little Mermaid, and I was impressed by her because I didn't know she could actually handle the emotional toll that this character must endure and go through. And also there's a lot of interesting, layers to Nettie. And I think when you play a Disney princess, I do think that it's a little bit easier. It's kind of like, as my husband would say, it's color by numbers, where it's like, okay, great. But there's more, more texture to these kind of characters that they're playing, because there's so many layers. Like, when you look at it as, oh, this is a woman, and then you're like, this is a black woman, and then it's like, well, there is racism within their own race. And I wonder if that was on purpose as far as casting. When you look at Nettie and Cecile, I wonder if that was on purpose as far as colorism, and why Cecile got more abuse than Nettie. Something to explain within the story is that Nettie seems to have more education, and I always wonder if that was because Cecile wanted to protect her from their father and so forth. Danielle, I forgot her last name, but she played Tasty in Orange is the New Black, was playing Sophia. And I was like, oh wow, that's cool. But Oprah, like, her playing that role, I think she was already well known and stuff, but her playing that role, it was so important for people to see this kind of character. And I think that really just pushed her stardom just whoa beyond. Like, everyone will always remember her playing that role. So to me, I was like, woo, these are, big shoes to fill in and whatever. But oh my gosh, I have to say, her performance, I've never experienced this where I laughed so hard and cried harder within seconds. And if you're a fan of the movie, you know exactly what scene it is where you're just like laughing and then crying. And she did amazing with that. Shug Avery, oh my gosh. She's been talking about, as far as the payment of being a creative and also always negotiate.
I'm just tired of working so hard, being gracious at what I do, getting paid a fraction of the cost. I hear people go, you work a lot. Yeah. I'll have to. The math ain't mathing.
You're tired.
I'm only human, and it seems every time I do something and I break another glass ceiling, when it's time to renegotiate, I'm at the bottom again, like I never did what I just did, and I'm just tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. And if I can't fight for them coming up behind me, then what the fuck am I doing? I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, don't apologize.
How much talent and how much like success do I have to keep showing you to say I should be paid better? And after seeing this movie, I'm like, yeah, I mean, she's the real deal. And just, there's only one person I was a little distracted by, and it was the ending with Sierra coming in. Now, okay, I was like singing her songs to my husband because he has no idea who she is. And I kid you not, I was like, this is Sierra for all you fine fellas. And he's like, no. And I'm like, 1, 2 step, 1, 2 step. Or my favorite song was like, coming da 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 da, and the background's like, ooh, and she has the microphone talking about ooh, ooh. Oh, I love that. But whatever. I actually found her character a bit distracting, and I don't think that she had the emotional depth of this huge moment of her and her sister reuniting. I'm not saying any more because there's more to it, but that was the only part I was a little distracted. But then I was like, I don't care. We're close to the end, so all is forgiven. The men in this cast, well done. As far as the intimidation, oh my gosh, the guy who plays, I'm blanking on the name, but the son of his son in the movie, I just remember thinking like, wow, what a, doofus and stuff. And he's not very smart. And I think it's because he's always been under his father's thumb. And then that's why he was attracted to Sophie, because she was, in charge. But I actually loved the cast in this one because originally he was in Out of Compton. He played Dr. Dre. Do you love how, like, okay, sorry. But I actually like that because I was like, wow, he's really handsome. And you can tell he's not smart, but he didn't have to be too caricature-ish in order to play this role. And so I was like, oh, this makes sense of why women are attracted to him and why he does like women who tend to take control. And he genuinely does love Sophie. Now let's talk about the direction of this movie. And I think this is where I'll say some of my critiques about it and what I was worried. So the director was originally the director for Beyonce's, I think, was it, oh my gosh, if I butcher it, I'm so sorry. I think African King. And so right then, and I wonder if I said it in the episode about the trailer when I watched Color Purple, my fear always about any movie musical is whenever someone takes it and creates music videos within it versus making it a musical because it's a story. And so visually it looks cool, but then you're just sitting there wondering about the story and what was the point. Some parts of the trailer I was like, ooh, I don't know. And I was worried that because listen, you are following Cecile's story of someone that isn't meant to be seen. and isn't, is completely abused by so many people in her life. And she's meant to be invisible to them. But then you see her confidence grow based on the different women around her. And I think that's why this movie is more probably for the girls and for the women and the sisterhood, and why I think a lot of men may not understand the value of finding the strength within. And of course, getting to the point where Cecile says, I am here. And it's a beautiful moment for us to follow. In the beginning, there were some parts where I was like, oh no, it's a music video. So the part where young Cecile sings about, recognizing the baby and singing about it. And now in the scene, we understood it, but I think her song sort of confirms what we think that we're seeing. So I was like, okay, fine. And then it's a gorgeous dance with prisoners around her, the railroad tracks, sort of the rhythm was really cool. And I was like, oh, okay. So what I think this director was doing is something similar to Chicago. Now, in Chicago, the movie, you see the character Roxy go back and forth. It's almost her vision or her imagination of this is the reality that's going on. And then here's the imagination part because, she's more vaudeville and theatrical. So things seem to be a bit more performative as far as what she's seeing. And then we get to see it along with her. So with Cecile, similar to the movie, is that we get to see her imagination. Now, in parts, it worked. And in this song particular, I was kind of like, okay, it's a music video. Because yes, the dancing's really cool with the prisoners. And then she goes across the river into this another beautiful dance with the women in the waterfall. But you know what kept distracting me was, and you could tell the editing or direction of it, they would do slow motion. And so what my guess is that they would speed up the song. And so the performers had to sing it faster. So then when they bring it back to the normal pace, to you, you're like, oh wow, they're singing the song perfectly in tune, but then everything seems just so much grander and slower. Now, if it happened once, it might have had more of an impact, but then it kept going back and forth, and then I started getting distracted because it didn't match the mouth and stuff. And so to me, I was like, you might as well kept it at the same rhythm through it all because it was still a beautiful shot. Those kind of things I was like, absolutely not. Like, this is a music video. I'm not feeling it. But for example, when Cecile, gets to kind of see Shug, and Shug is in the bathtub and she's there to help wash her back and whatever. And also I took it as this is the first time of her hearing the blues or hearing that kind of music in that room. And so in my interpretation of what I saw, I understood why she would then imagine Shug still in the bathtub while they're on the actual record and the styrofoam. Oh my gosh. Is it styrofoam? No, you'll let me know what it is. I thought that was a beautiful, simple interpretation of how Cecile was seeing things in that moment or how she was feeling. And I was like, okay, cool. I would say the majority was a hit, and some of them I was like, put this on MTV and just put a thing on it and people go, wow, that's really cool. How I felt watching this movie is how important the different women are to Cecile for her to get into that moment of finding herself and finding her inner strength when it comes to her sister, her youth, and then seeing Sophie and that sort of like hell no and fight back, and that strength for her to, because there is a reprise when she finally sings hell no. And I was like, yeah, Sophie was the one that taught you that. And then, of course, Shug, Cecile never felt that type of love besides maybe her sister, right? Like sisterly love. But then to love someone and have a love in return that actually is healthy. So Suge was so important as far as, I would say, as far as freedom and sexuality. Her scene when they're in the smokehouse and they do the lights on, lights off, I was like, this is great. This is wonderful direction, cool choreography, and also you are learning through this song where it's like, this is what it's like, lights on but lights off, woo woo woo, waka waka doo doo, yeah. Another like note where I was like, ooh, and I wonder if anyone else felt this. So there's that big song of like, I am here, and when the song ends, I felt like it ended very quietly and it didn't feel like it ended. Except that it just got quiet. And then I'm like, oh, wait, that was it. That was the song. And I think it's because near the end, Fantasia, did I even talk about Fantasia? Oh my gosh. That's embarrassing. I love her voice, and I think her voice was so perfect for this role because it already is very tender. So when she does belt the I am here, it is a powerful moment. But in that song, I didn't know when it ended because she does a riff at the end. And then when it's sort of like that big band, like, bam, I just felt like it wasn't that big. And maybe it's because I don't know, that doesn't make sense because I was in theaters. So it didn't feel like an explosion of like, ah, yes, boom. And so it just kind of like ended and I was like, oh wait, that was the moment. Did we miss the moment? We did. You know, of course, it's called the color purple, but I was noticing the color red. And, you know, it's obvious when Suge wears the color red and her bow. Oh gosh, I love that part so much. And it's like, whew, the fan. It's like, okay, because this is, you know, it's almost like it's their I am here moment. And so something I want to go back and reflect on is, did Sophie wear red at some point? And is that her I am here moment? Because then when Cecile sings I am here, she's wearing all red. So I wonder if that was a theme, or am I just like making stuff up because I can. Do I recommend it? I think I already said it plenty enough, but yes, I recommend it. I do think you should see it in theaters to get the full sound effect. And also, I was very lucky to be with a great audience because they laughed out loud when I was laughing out loud. And then when I was crying, I can hear them be like, and I was like, thank you, I'm not alone. I do think that this movie gravitates towards women a lot more because of thinking about the power of sisterhood. And also, I mean, some people can look at this movie and be like, it's anti-men. Sure. I don't think that's the real point of it. I think that Suge gives a good lesson to Cecile when she was like, God is everywhere. The fact that we could see the color purple, like, how do you explain that? And like, how wonderful it is, like, you know, because also to think about as her character is that she has a father that is a pastor. So of course, I feel like she naturally has this sort of, you know, God is good, and also she had a better upbringing than Cecile. So therefore, when Cecile's like, how do you explain my children being taken then? And then Suge goes, that's not God, that's men. And I was like, oh! I think it wasn't something where it's like men are bad, men did this. It was just like, God didn't do this, okay? So don't turn yourself away from God, because he is good. And also, based on the first song you hear, no, it's not the first song. Sorry, it's the second song where they're going to church. They're singing about miracles happening and God's, oh my gosh, what are the lyrics? The point is like the path that God chooses, like there's a miracle happening, or like God has a purpose. Feel that song actually reflected what's to happen through the musical and stuff. Anyways, I've talked enough. I would love to know your thoughts. What did you think of the movie? Is it something that you were like, yeah, I know a better movie musical that came out in 2023. Don't you come here and be like, what about Chicago? What about Fiddler on the Roof? But as far as where we're heading with the musicals that we're seeing, is there one that you think is better, and why? Love to know. And without further ado, take care, darling.